This episode is sponsored by Bladesong and Formlabs.
There's something about forging a blade. It holds purpose, truer than the weapon itself. Your future is smoldering, Blacksmith, in a forge beyond the howling wastes. A last haven of a dying world.
I'm Kerry Stagmer, and we are the Blacksmiths of Baltimore Knife and Sword. We're going to be building some of your favorite things and fantastic objects you've never seen before. This is Man-at-Arms, Reforged. You've seen us design and create hundreds of swords on the show, but imagine stepping into the forge yourself and creating a sword from your own imagination. Now you can with Bladesong. Master the art of smithing in Bladesong, the ultimate sword-making game. Discover the secrets of Aaron Keep, a haven of a dying world, as you craft unique weapons for a variety of clients in campaign mode. Learn new techniques, acquire rare materials, and expand your arsenal as you unmask the secrets of humanity's last refuge. In creative mode, players can utilize Bladesong's freeform blade shaping and intricate modular building systems to create anything, from famous historical weapons to something from the depths of your imagination. In Bladesong, you can truly forge without limits. When you're finished with your creation, you can use the magic link to share it with your friends or export it for 3D printing. We're going to be using the 3D printing to create this piece in steel. But first, it's time to make our very own creation in Bladesong. Andrew will be meeting with Bladesong creator David, and together they will create the design which we will bring to life here on Man-at-Arms.
But ask yourself, Smith, who truly holds the power?
To get started, David Kerry, the creator of Bladesong, joins Andrew on a video call to help us create our very own weapon within the game. Let's see what they end up designing.
Okay, so Andrew, you're going to be the builder of the day. I'm happy to be your guiding spirit.
I was thinking we make something larger, at least like a hand and a half type style weapon.
I use freedom units.
Note to self, add freedom units. How many inches would you go for?
Well, it'd be nice if it was a good cutter, because we're going to eventually do demos.
Yeah, we can figure that out.
I like how you can just go down the list. It makes sense. It's intuitive, like, okay, this.
Exactly, and then you can hover over the blade, and wherever your mouse cursor is, it will tell you how wide and how thick is the blade.
We will eventually make it out of Damascus, so it will not be boring.
You're gonna make it out of Damascus? Okay, nice.
So I guess we should go with the fuller next.
That's good, yeah. I think we'll probably want to leave a little more room, because I can imagine we want to go for a multi-fuller, one central fuller, and then two smaller ones next to it or something like that.
I mean, I imagine this is also a rabbit hole. You could develop forever.
With a vast library of sword parts and materials, along with its freeform blade shaping mechanics, you can spend countless hours designing the perfect weapon. Head over to the Baltimore Knife and Sword channel to see more from this collaboration, including how the sword got its name.
Okay, this is looking pretty solid. I can imagine this one being a good chopper.
With a design complete, it's time to bring the sword to life. Kevin will be starting with 2 billets of 15N20 and 1075 steel. We've gone with 2 because we're going to create not only a large sword, but we're laying in some pattern work that's created in the game, so it's going to take some extra material. We'll be able to bring this billet together and forge weld the piece and get to work. We like to begin the forge welding process using the press. It will close up any gaps in the material and allow the hammer to really get the job done. We're using the file exported from Bladesong. Andrew breaks it down within Blender before sending it over to be printed on the Formlabs 4L resin printer. With a printer like this, we have the ability to both print the actual part, and we can also do the reverse and print a mold if we want to use it for wax injection. Both of these things can be cast. It doesn't take that long to print the piece, but it takes a little while to get it set up and ready to go. In the printing process, there is excess resin that has not been cured. That has to be cleaned off. We'll be using 90% alcohol to do that process. From there, we go to a light process that cures the surfaces and allows this piece to be completely stable. So we're going to be taking the resins that we printed on the Formlabs 4L, and we're going to be covering them in a shell, like a slurry that we dip repeatedly. And then we throw some silica sand on the outside. It'll build up a thickness that we can then fire, burning out the resin, leaving us a cavity that we fill with bronze. I'm going to be setting this up for the casting by setting some wax sprues and gates on this to hang it off of a cup. That's where we do our pour. And in the process of doing that, making sure that all of my drain holes are closed. And some of them are only drains at first. Even though the printer has the ability to print this guard with all the gates and sprues for casting, we've only printed the guard. That's really so that we can get a good look at it and decide how it's going to look in the final form while we're still early in the game. I think I'm good to move. So we're ready to dip this and get its surface coated. The only problem is that I've let the amount of slurry that I have really drop off, and I just have a little in the bottom of the bucket. It's enough to do the job, but not enough to dip the entire part and get it right up to this edge. So I'll get some on it, and then we'll take a cup and we'll just pour over the surface until we have some coating. And that'll be enough. We'll let it dry, and we'll do it a few more times. Now that we have all this material welded up, Kevin forges it up to a fairly thick shape that's going to allow us to then go to the hydraulic press, which has a pattern in it. That pattern is going to create what we call laddering. It's just going to go straight across the piece. We can just simply create this pattern that you see and then forge it back down. But to make it more dramatic and more like the pattern in the game, we're going to be grinding off the high spots and then going back and finishing the sword. So we're looking pretty good now. We've got about 4 coats on this. We've just started onto the coarse sand coats. Those are what are going to give us a lot of strength. This will go into the burnout and it'll fuse into one solid piece, melt out the inside, leave us a cavity that's clean. That's where the bronze is going to go. We're going to be using sand over the top that is going to allow us to keep our resolution by dipping it first in slurry only, then in a fine sand, then in a coarse sand. Typically we're running about 7 coats here. Now that this slurry has created a mold on the outside of our pattern, it will have to be fired. We're going to put it into a preheated kiln at 1600 degrees. That's both going to harden and cure the outside of the mold and burn away all of the plastic resin that's on the inside. That's going to leave a cavity where, of course, we can pour in bronze. To really get a dramatic effect, the grooves that were created on the hydraulic press have now been completely ground off, and that will keep the up and down version of what we see in the pattern in the final blade in place. Now, with the billet at the right thickness, Kevin begins to draw out the blade. I'm now taking the basic blade that Kevin's forged for me and forging down the section where we need a tang. The tang is what goes inside of your handle and kind of gives you the registration of all the different parts on the sword. This tang will have to be tapered in both directions. That will allow the parts to fit in snugly As we get going on this, we'll do some grinding for the finish of it, but you don't want to lose a lot of material, and we do need it to be a little bit longer. So I take it to the Nasal hammer and get to work. One of the things we've decided here is to use the milling machine to cut in the fullers, or the grooves that you see down the blade. To do that, it's very important that the sides of the blade are parallel to each other. The best way to do that is to take this billet and either go to the power hammer with what we call a kiss block to get even sizes, or even better, to the rolling mill. When we run it through the rolling mill, it will create parallel sides. However, there's a lot of stretching in the process as it goes through the rolling mill and reduces the thickness, and it warps all over the place. Not too bad to straighten it up from there. We just go back over to the anvil while it's hot and work it straight. Make sure it's straight in both directions, both in the distal taper and in its width. We have run this blade through an anneal cycle in the kilns. That's going to make it soft enough to be able to cut with the mill. We're using the CNC mill since we're doing 3 different fullers down the center of the blade on each side. And I've also used a carbide cutter because if there's hard spots when we get to the sections that have high nickel, we want it to be able to cut and not really show any deflection. For heat treating, we put the blade into the kiln at 1500 degrees and allow it to soak for half an hour. We then withdraw it and quench it into Parks 50 quenching oil. After that, it's going to go over to one of the other big kilns and sit at 400 degrees for 2 hours on 2 processes. That's going to bring it back and be something that's very resilient, and we won't have to worry about breaking.
Now we've gotten the sword out of heat treat and temper, I'm going to start getting into the grind of it, putting our distal taper into it so I can hand it off to Butch. He can take it the rest of the way.
Butch now goes to grinding this using a flat platen. That platen actually has a piece of glass on it behind the sanding belt. That makes the grinds extremely flat and creates a very nice taper on the overall blade. The form that you see and the way that you see the visual of the Damascus steel and the pattern welding is very important, and Butch has got a perfect eye for this. From our imagination, to the computer screen, to the printed process, to the metal in our hands, we bring you the first steel sword from Bladesong.
Who truly holds the power? The one who wields the blade, or the one who forges it?
Click here to subscribe, or click here to subscribe to Baltimore Knife and Sword. Click the video to see more here on the All Me channel.